Hey there, Saki here from Saki Tech, and in today's video, I would like to share over 25 tips, tricks, and features of the iPhone X so that you can learn more about your shiny new iPhone X and enhance your ownership. So let's dive in and discover tons of good stuff. Now before we dive in, if you do use Twitter or Instagram, make sure to follow me on both at Saki Tech Online. Alright, let's go. Alright, so let's quickly start with some of the basics just in case you're wondering. So as you know, the home button is now gone, so there's other ways to navigate your phone. For example, let's say that you are within an application and you want to go to the home screen. All you do is swipe from bottom to top and it'll take you to the home screen. All you have to do is pay attention to that little bar that shows up at the bottom of every little screen, every app window. So if you swipe up like that, boom, you go right back home. And also if you want to access your already running applications, all you do is you swipe up, you take a pause, and then you let go, and what happens is the cards will come right up and you can switch through which one you want to pick, and when you're ready just tap on it and it's right there. Now another thing that a lot of people used to do was basically when you go up to the actual window, by the way, you can do this from the actual app also. So if you don't want to go to home but you just want to bring up the app cards when you're within an application, all you do again is swipe up, take a pause, and just let go, and it's right there. And in the other iPhone, basically you have to swipe these up to kill them. In this one, it doesn't work that way. What you want to do is, let's go back in there real quick. Press and hold, which brings up a red closing bar on the top of every app that you want to get rid of, and you tap on that and it's gone. Okay, so just so you know, let's do that one more time. Swiping up is not going to work. In fact, if you do swipe up, it's going to take you back to the home screen. Alright, so what if you want to bring up Siri? In the old iPhones, you would have to press and hold the home button, which we don't have on the iPhone X. So what they have done is, you press and hold the power button, and that actually brings up Siri. Let me show you that really quickly. Press and hold. Hey Siri, how you doing? So if you want Siri's assistance for anything, that's what you do. Or you can always say, hey Siri, and that also works. Alright, as you can see. Now the other thing is, so now that you press and hold the power button to bring up Siri, how do you access the part where you can actually turn off your device? In the old phone, again, you pressed and hold the power button and it brought up the option to slide to power off your iPhone. With the iPhone X, all you have to do is you have to press and hold the volume down and power button at the same time, and that's going to bring up that same menu that you're used to by pressing and holding the power button on the older iPhones. So there we go. Okay, so press and hold volume down and power at the same time. You can also take a screenshot of your iPhone much easier now. It's very similar to what we just did, but instead of pressing and holding the volume down key, you press and hold the volume up key, and you don't press and hold it for too long. You just press and hold and let go, okay? And that's going to take a screenshot. So let me show you how that works. So press and hold, let go, boom, you get a screenshot. When you get a screenshot, you can tap on that little thing, and then you can edit the screenshot if you so desire. For example, you can do some highlighting here. Just to bring attention to certain things. And then when you're ready, you can share this with anybody using any one of these apps. Or if you just want to save it, you click done. You can say save to photos, or you can say delete screenshot. Alright, so that's how you take a screenshot on the iPhone X. Alright, so let me talk about the lock screen really quickly. So if I lock the phone, there's a couple ways for me to wake up my device. The one that is my favorite is the fact that you can simply tap on the screen, and that does allow you access to the lock screen. And when you do access a lock screen, I just want to show you one more thing here. You see that there's a flashlight icon and a camera button here. All you do is, let's tap it again, press and hold, do the 3D touch on it to activate that option. So as you can see, the flashlight was turned on. It's going to look like it's white, and then when you tap it again, it turns off the flashlight. Same thing with the camera. If you press and hold, it's going to launch the camera, and if you go like this, it's going to take you back to the lock screen. And also you can swipe over, and that's also going to launch the camera. And of course, if you swipe to this side, you're going to get access to your today's screen. And if you swipe from the top corner over here on the right side, it's going to bring down your control panel. Okay, so all these things can be done from the lock screen. If you swipe from here, it's not going to bring anything right now. And of course, if you want to access your notifications, if you have any, you go like that, and that will populate your notifications if you swipe up like that, okay? And if you don't want to use Face ID, which is set up right now, if I looked at the phone right now, it would actually unlock the phone. But if you don't want to use the Face ID, if the phone is flat on the table just like this, you can swipe from the bottom, just wait a couple seconds, and it's going to ask you to put your PIN number right in. And of course, a really quick tip for people that like to watch videos on their phones, if you're watching a video on your iPhone, it's going to have two black bars on both sides. That's just to make it clean and nice. But if you want to see it full screen, all you want to do is pinch out and boom, it gets completely expanded for a full screen experience. And if you want to bring it back to normal with the bars, you just pinch right in and boom, you get that original version. All right, zoom to fill, original. So again, on the older iPhones, if you wanted to bring up the control panel, you would swipe from the bottom, but obviously that's gone now. So what you do is the control panel is actually hiding on the corner here. So you swipe from top right to down, and that brings up your control panel. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice on the top here is you see that there's a battery symbol, but it doesn't show you the battery percentage meter anymore. And there's no way to actually enable that. So if you want to see the actual battery percentage meter, what you would have to do is you would have to pull down the control center, and that's going to give you the actual percentage meter, just in case you're wondering exactly what you've got going on. And while we are in the notifications panel, I do want to let you know all these buttons here are 3D touchable, so pressable. So if I press and hold this guy, it's going to expand and give you even more options. Same thing with the music player. If I tap and hold, it's going to expand the music player. It's going to give me a bigger player and more options on the screen. And you can do this with just about any button over here. So with the brightness button, I can go like that, increase the brightness, decrease the brightness. I can turn on or off the True Tone display, okay? Or I can also turn on or off the night shift option. And then the same thing can be done with the volume. If you press and hold, it's called the 3D touch. It brings up that menu, the slider, and you can increase or decrease the volume on the go. And if you press these icons here, like the flashlight icon, that's going to bring the, that's the first level of flash, second, third, fourth. So that's the flashlight option. This is the maximum brightness, this is the minimum brightness, and this is when you turn off the flashlight. Same thing can be done with the camera. Okay, you can go to the selfie, record video, slow motion, all that good stuff. All right, and just so you know, just in case you're not aware, the control panel is in fact fully customizable. So what you could do is you could always go into the settings and you can scroll down, tap on control center and tap on customize controls, and that's going to show you all the different things you can actually add to your control center, such as the screen recording option. So let's just add that real quick. Let's add one more thing. Let's add the alarm, Apple TV remote if you have an Apple TV. Now let's go back into the control center real quick, and you'll see a bunch of extra options. And if you have an Apple TV, here's a remote available to you that you can use right away. And as you can see, the one that I have in the living room pops right up, so I can connect to it simply by tapping this guy. And with the screen recording option, I can press and hold, and I can actually start to record everything that I do on my screen. So if I tap start recording, it's going to say 3, 2, 1, boom. So the recording starts. I can go back out. Let me tap this, go back out. I'll launch something right here, then go back right in, click allow, go back right in. And then I can pull that down one more time, press and hold, and tap on stop recording, and it's going to save that into my photos folder, and I can go into my photos and actually play that video, which is going to be sitting right here, photos, tap that, play, and that's exactly what I just did a couple seconds ago. All right. So you can record your iPhone, whatever's happening on your iPhone, you can record that. You can record games, gameplay, whatever you want. Next up, I want to talk about the Face ID. So everything that you were able to do with the Touch ID on the old iPhones is now transferred to Face ID. So if I go to settings, and if I go back to the main home screen, and if I scroll down to where it says security, where we go, Face ID and passcode, let's tap on it, go inside. Let me put my passcode in. Once you're in here, you can see that you can use Face ID for iPhone unlock, Apple Pay, iTunes and App Store purchases, and also Safari autofill passwords. So if you were used to doing these with your Touch ID on the older iPhones, you can transfer all that now to Face ID All you have to do is actually look at your phone right here and you're good to go. And of course, if you ever want to reset your face, so if you want to re-record your face as a passcode, you would tap Reset Face ID, and that's going to allow you to re-record your face, or rather rescan your face. And while we are here, I want to show you a couple more things that you should probably pay attention to. And the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the require passcode immediately. If you tap this, you may have a couple other options. For some reason, it doesn't have it right now. But this is best left at immediately, because this means when you turn off your phone, the phone is locked immediately. There's no lag, okay? So if somebody tries to access the phone, it's locked already. Let me go back inside. So that's the require passcode option that you need to enable. And then you have a couple other options here. One thing I want to show you with the Face ID is it's not here. Some phones show it in this area. But if you go back out from here, and if you go to General, and if you go to Accessibility, there's an option here that says Attention. So you can enable these two options. They both pertain to Face ID. The first one is require attention for Face ID, meaning when your phone is unlocked and you try to turn it on and try to look at it, it's going to make sure that you're actually giving it your attention. For example, your eyes have to be looking at the screen so that the sensors on the top here can read it, okay? So if you're not looking at the iPhone, it's not going to unlock. So that's what the require attention for Face ID is. And this is also the same thing, works in conjunction with that one, attention aware features. So if you're sleeping and somebody actually tries to unlock the phone using your sleepy face, it's not going to allow that to happen. So make sure these two options are in fact enabled for Face ID. Now, a couple minutes ago, I showed you guys that if you're on the lock screen, you can basically access every feature of the iPhone. You can access the control center, you can access the today's screen, and you can access anything on the screen. You can even see some of the notifications that people send you. So what I want to show you guys now is how to disable that so people have access to nothing on your lock screen, which I think is a security concern. So let me log in real quick. Go to the settings, and then scroll down, go back into Face ID and passcode. Pop in your passcode, and then scroll down, and there's an option here. It says allow access when locked. You can disable access to all these features on the lock screen, so nobody can access Siri, nobody can access Control Center, nobody can see the recent notifications or your today's view. So let me just show you real quick. Let me just disable these for a minute, all of them. Let me go back into the lock screen and try to access these things. No access, no access, no access. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to truly secure your phone, I recommend that you disable those things from being shown on the lock screen. And as you can see, they're right here. I'm going to enable them for now, but you can always customize these things for future. And there's one more thing I want to talk about in relation to the actual camera as far as video recording capabilities are concerned. So if you launch your camera and if you go to the video, let me just click allow here for a minute. Let's disable that. If you go to video, it allows you to record video. But you know that your iPhone actually can record 4K video at 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. Or if you want to record in 1080p, you can also switch those options. In order to change the settings for the video recording capabilities, you cannot access that from the camera. You have to go to the settings. You would have to scroll down until you see the camera, which should be somewhere around here. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. So there's the camera. You go right inside, and from here it says record video. If you tap this, this is where you pick all the various options. You can do 1080p at 30 frames per second, at 60 frames per second, and also you have 3 4K options, 24 frames per second, 30 and 60 frames per second. And just pay attention to what's happening over here. So basically what this is telling you is the higher the resolution and the higher the frames per second, the more space it's going to take on your phone. Okay, so just be aware of that. So I can go to 4K at 60 frames per second, see what happens on the camera. If I go to the camera and if I scroll over to video, it is going to say 4K 60 on the top to indicate that you're recording at that resolution and that frames per second. Okay, 4K is the resolution, 60 is the frames per second. If I go back here for a second, If I go to 1080p at 60 frames per second, go back to the camera, now you see it's going to say high definition, 60 frames per second. Now one more thing, the same thing applies to slow motion. So here's a slow motion video. Go back to the settings, go back one up, and then over here it says record slow motion. You have two options, okay? You have the regular option and you have the 1080p option. Now if I tap on this one, it's going to indicate that on the camera. So it says high definition 120. And if I take the go for the default option, it's not going to say anything, so you know this is at 240 frames per second. With that, you'll get even slower motion videos. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is restrictions. Again, I want everybody to be aware of restrictions on your iPhone. So normally anybody can access your apps. Anybody can go to the Play Store and they can download an application if they so desired. With restrictions, you can actually turn off certain apps, and you can also turn off, prevent people from accessing the Play Store, downloading apps, and even making in-app purchases. Actually, you can even prevent people from deleting your apps. So if I press and hold right now, as you can see, I can delete any one of these apps, and that could cause problems if somebody accidentally deletes your app. So what you want to do is, let's go back home, settings, go back out real quick, all the way to the top, go to general and go to restrictions. Tap on it. It's going to ask you to enable it. Tap that again. It's going to ask you to pick a passcode. Now this passcode is unique to restrictions. It doesn't apply to anything else. So let's just pick a 000 for now for demonstration. And as you can see, you can disallow access to all these apps. If I go back to the home screen, here's Safari, here's the camera. Let's just disable those for a second to show you how it works. Let's go back to restrictions. It's going to ask you for a passcode, which makes sense. Disable Safari and camera. Go back out. And now the camera and the Safari are gone. Okay, so that's how you disable access to certain apps. Let me go back in there real quick. Tap. And that's all great, but this is what really is interesting, this part right here. So you can prevent people from installing apps, you can prevent them from deleting apps, and you can prevent them from making in-app purchases, which could cost a lot of money. If you give your phone to a kid, they start playing games, and the next thing you know, the kid goes nuts and they're purchasing all kinds of stuff. But anyway, let's go back out real quick. I'm going to show you how you cannot delete apps anymore. So if I press and hold, it doesn't give me that X symbol. It does not allow me to actually delete applications. When you're done with this wiggling stuff, by the way, you can always click down the top here. All right. So let me go back here to restrictions. Just enable that everything for now. But this is an option that you guys have if you give your phone away to a lot of people. Enable, enable, enable. Fantastic. And of course, I want you guys to come and take a look over here. There's so much here you can do with the restrictions to secure your phone. Just come and study it very carefully. But these are the main highlights. These apps you can disable, and the fact that you can disable people from doing these three things. Fantastic. And that brings us to the end of this video, and I hope you learned some new and useful tactics so you can better enjoy your iPhone. Now make sure to subscribe to Saki Tech and give this video a thumbs up. And like I said, if you do use Twitter and Instagram, make sure to follow me on both @SakiTech Online. Have a fantastic day.